Not the longest future. Hello. Hello. Recording. It's recording. We're recording. Hello, everybody. How you doing? Ooh, I got a little wind action. Well, thank you, Mother Nature. How you doing? Thank you. Appreciate you. So I'm really thrilled. My guest today, JP Ferreri, and I, first of all, just the coolest last name ever. We met on the set of Hairspray, and it was instant. I was like, you are one of my favorite people. He was hysterical. He won my heart immediately. I can't wait to bring him in. Let's bring him in. It's about to get real Hairspray up in here. Let's see. Hello. Hi.
Hi.
How you doing?
I'm good. How are you? It's so good to see you.
It's so good to see you. You don't age. Like, I don't understand it.
Oh, no, I've aged a little.
Like what? Like, literally I just pulled a gray hair out of my brush. Like, it's bad.
You look amazing.
Oh, gosh. Well, thank you. Every day, beep, the lashes go on, and that is a struggle.
Well, you look amazing.
Oh, thank you. I can't tell you how many curse words I have said putting them on.
Oh, no.
Where are you?
I don't know how it feels.
You don't have to trust me. It's painstaking. Whereabouts are you?
So I'm at my parents' house in Jersey. Right.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I escaped the city, so.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not far. I'm on Long Island.
Uh-huh.
That's, it is what it is. But it's kind of weird now because we live in a neighborhood that's like predominantly an Italian neighborhood. And when it's like these weekends, everybody's just like going hard on the holiday weekends. And then this year it's like everybody's kind of doing that and doing things like that. And then, now my dog is going to have another panic attack.
Oh, no. Well, that's what my old neighborhood used to be like. When my parents retired and they moved down the shore. So they live in it's a 55 and older like golf course community. So it's pretty quiet here, which is nice, but it's not really my scene. But it's nice to come down and like hang out here and kind of get away from the stuff, especially now. But
sure, it's an escape. I mean, I used to go to the Jersey Shore every single summer for vacation with my family growing up. My parents would take their tax returns, save them, and we would go down the shore for 2 weeks. We'd rent a house on Long Beach Island. And oh my God, JP, I had some of the best times of my life down that shore.
That's where I am. I'm right. So Long Beach, I'm on the mainland, but Long Beach Island is right across the bay from where I am. So that's the beach I go to when I'm down here. I got an LBI.
Are the beaches open now? Because I had heard they did open, and then Angelina from the Jersey Shore said everybody went and then got shut down again or something.
I know Long Beach Island is open, but I mean, the weather's not so good, so it's not that crowded.
Yeah. Well,
so
we did.
Actually, my friend. Huh?
What were you saying?
No, one of my friends actually just stopped. She got the beach badge for me for the season, so I picked it up from her yesterday, which was nice. So.
Nice. I haven't been in years.
Yeah.
I haven't been in years.
Oh, really? You should come down.
I would love to. I'm actually thinking of taking like a 3 or 4 day weekend when all of this relaxes a little bit and just go escape and write and hang out, by myself.
That's cool. How's everyone? How's the family? How's your mom, your dad?
Fine. They're fine. Karen and Carl are rocking it, just hanging out in there. Sometimes, JP, I swear, I don't know what happens in there. I walk out, I come out here, and it seems like I tell my friends all the time, I'm like, I really should just join the FDNY because I'm constantly putting out fires. I mean,
I get it. My parents, well, it's funny. My parents are retired. So they like chilled out a lot. So actually coming here is kind of nice because I feel like I'm retired and I'm like relaxed myself. But it's fun. This is the most time I've spent with them since I was probably like before Hairspray, actually. So probably when I was like 19 years old or something. But it's nice. So.
I mean, it's nice. Look, like Caroline Manzo said to me, she was like, I'm so thankful that I get to be quarantined with the people I love most. I was like, she's like, but sometimes. I said, oh, Caroline. I said, I want to send mine off a long walk off a short pier several times a day. But, what can you do? But you were exposed to the entire Blonsky bunch when we did Hairspray.
Oh, yeah.
55 years ago.
I loved you had such an amazing family. Your mother was just so loving. She was like a mother to all of us when we were there, and it was so amazing. And I enjoyed all the time I spent with you and your family and everyone, and it was just,
Gosh. And so I just have to set it up for people. So I lived in this apartment building, and in the beginning I was so upset that I was the only one in that apartment building. I was like, I'm so lonely. And then Craig Zaden, God rest his soul, said to me, I said, Craig, I'm the only one in that building. He said, yes, cherish it. You have no idea what it's like to work all day long and just see all these people. He's like, and then you come home and you're in the lobby of your building and then there they are again. He's like, sometimes you just want to escape. But what was cool though was I had everybody down at the other end, Lore Street, and then I had you guys next door at the Sutton, and then and it was literally I could see you guys from my window, like so fun.
I actually, when I was there, I was in Toronto. I guess this is probably now like almost 5 years ago. And I walked by the Sutton where I stayed, and I guess they were remodeling it. I guess they like gutted the whole place and remodeling it, but it was nice. It was funny just walking by that. It brought back a lot of memories.
Well, you know that Jesse moved into my old apartment when I moved in.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
It was like years later, and Jesse like messages me and he's like, I don't know if you know this, but I'm living in your old apartment. My friend is renting it and I'm renting. I was like, that's hysterical.
That is hysterical. I actually saw him when I was in Toronto because I was on tour with Newsies at that point, and he was doing Kinky Boots.
Yes.
Summer that I was there, and our cast would like meet up, and I would meet up with him. And it was great catching up with him. But that was even like 5 years ago now. But
well, you were Joey, right? And then and Jess was who? Wait, hold on.
Was he IQ?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I mean, just so fun. And the adventures and the parties, though. I was talking to Travis Wall about Adam Shankman's So You Think You Can Dance parties and Halloween. And who did you dress up for that Halloween?
Harry Potter.
Yeah, yes. I mean, there were some epic costumes.
Oh yeah. I remember who I think the twins, weren't they Mary-Kate and Ashley?
Yes. Yes. And Zach and Elijah were Men in Black, Tommy Lee and Will Smith. Oh God. Anthony Carr was a Flav Flav. I mean, just some epic stuff.
It was such a great time. I mean, I look back now and I'm like, what a time. I mean, for me, that was like one of my first, big jobs too. So it was such a amazing and memorable experience, something that I would never forget. So
of course. I mean, it was a job that changed my life forever.
Yeah.
When did you start dancing, JP?
So I started when I was about 4 years old. So I have
Oh my God,
older.
I can just see like little JP, the cutest.
Yeah. Well, it was funny because my sister, she's about 4 years older than me. She danced at the studio, and at that time in my hometown, because I grew up 20 minutes outside of New York City in North Jersey, so we were always close to Broadway and all of that. And so our dance studio was at the end of our block. It was by the first house where I grew up. And my mom would drop my sister off, and I'd go with my mother to pick her up. And then my teachers, the dance teachers, would bring me in, and I'd sit and watch. And then I just ended up doing it, and it just kind of happened, and I fell in love with it, and I never stopped. It was kind of crazy. And it was funny because, I mean, my parents they weren't dancers, obviously. My dad was a policeman. My mom had a small business. And they just dropped us off there, and we never left. It was crazy.
When it works, it works. When you feel it,
Mm-hmm.
I felt that way about singing. Dancing, not so much. Dancing to me, JP, is a feat. I mean,
so you had moves, though. You were dancing. I remember that.
Look, Zach Whitley and Jamal Sims are incredibly talented men. They helped. Zach transformed my dance, ability. Absolutely. Just because I remember he said to me, do a Shanae. And I said, who's that? It was like I may as well been learning Mandarin. I had no idea what was happening. All I knew was that, and it was funny because at the dance callback, I went up to my mom and I said to my mom, I said, well, this is the dance callback. And she goes, what? And I said, yeah. And then 2 seconds later, I hear her on the phone with my father. And she's like, yeah, Carl, it's the dance callback. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know now. She's like, this is where we might lose it. Because I was always a klutz. And I don't know. I looked at Zach Woodley and his feet were going and my feet just started copying. And I was just having the most fun. But when I saw you guys and Adam said it's time to do Ladies' Choice in front of all you guys, I've never felt intimidation, fear, but also excitement like that in my life.
Oh, of course. And you probably fed off of us. We fed off of you. So it was just, it worked.
Yes. I mean, well, what wasn't there to love? Like, what was it like 20 ridiculously gorgeous, handsome young men in their prime dancing and just with me? I mean, what was there not to love? So fun.
Yeah, so fun. I found, since I'm at my parents' house, I never even knew they had this. I didn't even know this existed, but it was a Hairspray book.
Coffee table book, yes.
Yeah, and it was like, I guess it's all just, I remember there was always a photographer taking pictures throughout the shoot, throughout everything. So I guess this is where it all just
David James, was it? David James, I think. He should be credited.
Yeah. Yes, that's what it says on the cover.
James?
Yeah.
I still got it.
Yeah.
Yes, he was always on set, and I'll never forget every day, almost without fail, I would get like 8x10s of like me and Michelle or me and Chris, and so I have some of those, put away there.
Yeah, I didn't even know this existed. So I was looking the other day because I was going through my parents' attic and just like going through pictures, and I found this, and I was like, oh, I need to bring this out for when I have my thing with Nikki. Oh, but it's kind of,
I don't have one.
You don't have one?
I don't have a lot of our stuff. I think I have one DVD. I have I don't really collect my own stuff. Like, I'll take it if they send it to me. Like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
But I don't.
This is pretty epic. You need to find this.
I want that.
Somebody needs to find one and send it to you.
I would love
There-
that.
There have to be eBay or something.
I'm sure. I don't even have one of my own dolls.
Oh no. It was funny. I'm going to try and, I don't know if my mom probably still has it somewhere. So my mom's favorite hairspray, like hairspray that she would use, was Sebastian hairspray. And this summer the movie came out. For a promotion for the movie, they had like the Ultra Clutch through Sebastian. And it was like,
sponsor.
yeah. And she had a bunch of those. She got them at the salon that she went to. And yeah. That's somewhere in this house, somewhere. But
somebody actually dragged one of the 8-foot hairspray cans. You remember those from the New York premiere?
mm-hmm.
They were like hollow inside, but still, that's like really.
Yeah, it's like a huge set piece.
Yeah, so I see this guy, and I'm walking into my hotel in the city, and I see this guy like lugging it down the street. And he stood out there until like the next morning because I was already upstairs and my security was like, "You're up, that's it." Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So the next morning I came out and he was there and I was like, this thing is so big, like you could have hurt yourself. All right, because the effort was just too good, you know?
Yeah. That's it was actually, I haven't watched in a while, but it was on recently. It's always on E, which is great. It's on E. And I actually sat and I watched some of it, and it just brought, there was moments that I totally forgot about that I'm like, how could I forget this part? And it was just amazing. And it just, yeah, it kind of brought a little tear to my eye because I was like, I was a part of that, which still to this day, I'm still shocked that even happened. But
hello. As my friend Angelina says, hello. Like,
well, you got it went to the open call, obviously, right?
Well, I went through 6 months of auditions. So I had sent in a tape. They said don't send in tapes. I sent in a tape. And then I went through 6 months of the calls and all of that, and the auditions and the waiting and but every day it still blows my mind. I still sit here several times a day and I'm like, really? Like, I have to, like, occasionally I'll be like in the middle of my day and I'll be like, do you realize that this really happened? Do you understand that you maybe sound like a committable, like you maybe sound like you need some help, like, because it just seems too crazy. But I think it's the ultimate story of, like, if you want something bad enough, you can,
Yeah. Well, my experience, the audition process, it was quick for me. Like, it was, I went and call. I wasn't even gonna go. My sister was on Broadway, she was doing Wicked at the time.
Nice.
And at that point, I think that was like, I just finished like my freshman year of college. And I was living home in Jersey. And my sister was like, you have to go to this audition. You're perfect for it. And I was like, I don't know. Like, it was, I was like, there's going to be so many people there and blah, blah, blah. So whatever, I went. I lined up. I remember I was number 13. So I got there very early. I was number 13. And there was at least 800 people there. Like, it was huge. And it was at Alvin Ailey Studios. And it was just, we danced all day. Somehow I made it through the whole day. And they were like, okay, so they kept maybe 50 of us. They said, okay, you have to come back tomorrow and basically do the whole thing over, because my audition was a Saturday and the next day was a Sunday. And that Sunday, our callbacks were going to be with the agency submissions. So it was going to be basically the whole thing over again with people that had agents. So we had to do the whole thing over again. Made it through that day. Adam came that day. He was there on Sunday. And they paired us up with a girl. And I was with Sarah Jane. That's who I got paired up with. And we had to do them, like, I think we did it like couple at a time. and made it through that day. I had to go back in that following Monday to read a scene. And then I found out like a week later. And this was already like June. And we started, I think I remember I left, it was the 4th of July, the day I left to go to Toronto. So it was over a course of like a month that it all happened, which was so crazy. But
You don't even know what was happening over here. Every time my phone would ring, whether it was my phone or my mother's phone, and it was a California area code, the amount of anxiety that would build up in our house. I mean, she would be, oh God, okay. And she's like this, and I'm like, don't drop it. It might hang up and we'll never get the call again. And, somehow every phone line would shut down and, like worst case scenario. But I do remember when they finally told me we're going to come to each of, the 4 final girls' hometowns. And for you, we went to Coldstone. And that's when I knew that it was serious. And then when I heard that how many girls that they saw, that's when I was like, what?
Yeah.
Crazy.
It's crazy. Well, and I didn't know this until we started, but I was the only council kid who got it from the open call.
Really?
Only one who booked it from that New York open call.
Look at you.
Like, obviously, the other New York dancers, they booked it in New York, but they were submitted from their agents.
Right.
So they weren't that first day with me. I was the only one from that first open call that booked it.
And did we thank our sister, JP? Did we thank our sister?
Oh, yes, of course. I mean, I think my sister knows. I mean, I wouldn't be here without her. I wouldn't be doing any of this. My whole career is like, I give it to her because she's the one who, inspired me, obviously, and pushed me to do everything. So I thank her for everything.
That's great, though, when you can have somebody who shares a passion. I said, I'm the only one in my family who sings and acts and dances, and sometimes explaining that passion can be a little difficult if somebody doesn't do it themselves. They don't understand the hunger and the passion and the sleepless nights. They don't get it.
Yeah, my sister and I, we always had this saying together that we say we're in it together. Because everything, every callback, every audition, we would always talk to each other before, and we'd always just say we're in it together. And that's our little saying that we say to each other.
What would be a dream show for you guys to do together?
Oh God. Now, I always said I wanted to do Wicked with her, but that never happened. And she kind of, she retired from the business about 1.5 years ago. She decided that she was done. She did 20 years in the business. Yeah, she had her first job at 16. She went on the road at 16. And she did 20 years, and she's doing other things now that she always wanted to do. So she said she did it. She was happy with her career, and she knew when to step out and finish. But dance and theater always, is a part of her. So
it's great. I mean, 20 years in this business is 75 at a regular job, because the amount of stress and pressure that it takes to uphold a career and keep it going for, a substantial amount of time, 20 years, it's a lot. My hat's off to her.
Oh yeah. And she had an epic career. So she was, so talented.
Well, you've had an epic career, though, sir. I mean, Newsies, hello.
Yeah, Newsies was another dream job that I never expected. And it kind of, that too was just such an amazing experience. And I was a part of it for so long, too. And it didn't feel long until after. I was like, oh, my God. It was 5 years of my life. I did it all.
Yeah.
I did, so I was a part of the original Paper Mill production at the Paper Mill Playhouse, and then did it on Broadway. And then after Broadway ended, I had no plans of doing the tour. But then they called me about 6 months into the tour run and was like, do you want to come out and just, I was a swing on Broadway. So they called me for the tour and they're like, do you want to come out and just learn some of the tracks here? And if become a vacation swing for the tour. And if we need you, we'll call you out. And I was like, yeah,
And
sure.
Can I just stop you for 1 second?
Yeah.
Vacation swing is, for people who are not in theater, it is not what you think it is. So don't get excited. Carry on.
So basically, and a vacation swing is they call it a vacation swing, but it's basically somebody who is a swing who covers the ensemble. And they use that person for like long-term medical leaves or when people take vacations. Right. But for Newsies, that was a job that was used all the time because a lot of boys got injured doing that show. So when I joined the tour, this was spring of 2015, I was only supposed to go out for like 4 weeks just to like learn the tracks and that, and then I never left. I stayed 1.5 years on the road.
Yeah.
So it was it was kind of crazy, but
yeah, you go to the nearest Target and you buy a bunch of underwear and
oh yeah.
Yeah, it's happened to me a few times where I found myself, okay, I'm going to stay here for 2 weeks and I have 2 weeks worth of clothes. And then all of a sudden I find myself staying in LA because now I've booked a job. And I'm like, oh, well, yay. And I'm like at Target, all of a sudden, I need everything.
Well, this kind of happened to me recently. So before all this mess started, I was planning, so my parents go to Florida for the winter. They're snowbirds. So in beginning of March, I had a weekend plan that I was going down to visit them. And so this was right when everything was starting to close down, and I decided, let me just go down, I'll stay with them for a little and see what happens. I was supposed to go down for 5 days. I ended up staying in Florida with them for 8 weeks.
Yeah.
And down there for 8 weeks, and then we drove back up to Jersey 2 weeks ago. So I packed for 5 days. So I had to buy some clothes online, had stuff delivered, and then luckily last Tuesday I had to go up to my apartment just to check on my mail and stuff. So I picked up some more stuff, but it was kind of crazy.
Yes. Well, I see some of your pictures when you were down there, and I have a bone to pick with you because you are out there. I'm like, oh, it's got to be miserable quarantining with the Ferraris by the pool. It absolutely just must suck the air out of every balloon I've ever seen.
I mean, I was very lucky. Like it was,
you deserve it. You work
Florida's amazing, and what a place to be quarantined. Yes. But it was crazy because there too, I mean, obviously the whole country now is affected, but it was, there was nothing much to do. So we would just walk around the little lake and the development there. I'd sit outside in the sun. The pool was closed there eventually. So I really only had like a week of things open there when I got there. So, but it was, I was lucky enough to be able to go outside and enjoy the weather at least. If I was going to be stuck somewhere, at least it was warm. But
see, I really am like a little old lady at heart because nothing excites me more than like a nice condominium plaza with like, a little place to grab a drink, a doorman, maybe a theater, nice spa. And they have those in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes me so happy. Every time I go, I'm like, someday.
Oh, I'm going to end up in Florida. I feel like that's where I'm going to end up in a couple of years, just because I don't do well with cold weather, even though I grew up, in the Northeast and in New Jersey my whole life, and I live in New York now. I just don't like cold weather at all. But,
where did you train dance-wise?
So I went to a studio, Dance World Academy, It's in Clifton and Passaic, New Jersey. It's still there. My teacher just celebrated, I think this year was her 42nd anniversary.
Wow.
Yeah, and she's, amazing. I was so lucky that we ended.
Mentor? Would you consider her a mentor?
Oh yeah, of course. And I teach for her still to this day. I go back and I teach for her. I choreograph and do stuff for her. But she was always, she's such a creative woman, and being so close to New York, we were able to have some of the best guest teachers, and was just exposed to so many great things. And she's trained so many Broadway Broadway dancers, and crazy.
Also, in this business, you are exposed to a lot of different types of dance, but what was one of your favorites that you did with her, or, that you just really loved?
So I was trained in everything growing up, and she was always ballet was always very important. And she always said ballet is the base for every form of dance. So we were very, technique was always important at the studio. But we always, musical theater was always my passion. And her thing was always about entertaining people. So everything we did was to entertain. So we did big flashy numbers, and it was musical theater was just always my passion. And now, musical theater could be any form of dance really now. It's just about telling a story. So that was always just telling a story, and just connecting with the audience was always my favorite.
For sure. Who's somebody that you've gotten to work with over your dance career that you really looked up to, and that you were like, I can't believe I get to work with them?
Well, the choreographer of Newsies, Chris Catelli, he was, it's funny because we trained under the same dance teacher. So we went to he trained with my dance teacher when he was younger. And when I was little, he worked with me one year on a solo I did. And it was just I always looked up to him. And then when I saw that he was choreographing Newsies, I was like, oh my God, I have an in. But it wasn't as easy as I thought. But it was, he was somebody that I always looked up to.
Who's somebody that you would love to work with?
Ooh, that's a good one. There's so many.
I know.
I always love Josh Bergasse. Mm-hmm. He choreographed MASH, and he choreographed On the Town, the revival a couple years ago. When I was younger, he would teach at Broadway Dance Center and stuff, and I would take his class. But I would always love to work for him professionally, because I just love his choreography. His style was always very athletic, and that's how I always danced. And there's so many up and coming choreographers that I would love to work with. I can't even name some right now, but yeah.
We worked with some pretty epic ones: Ann Fletcher, Jamal Sims, Joey Peasy, Zach Woodley. Mm-hmm. I had no idea when we were working together, and then Mama was like, oh, I did a movie called Step Up. Ended up being one of the biggest dance movies of all time. And
mm-hmm. Didn't we all, I think the weekend that it opened, didn't we all go and see it?
Yes, I remember sitting there in the theater in between Adam and Mama, and we were watching it, and Anthony and Whitney were there, Whitney Brown and Anthony Carr, because they were in it, and mm-hmm. It was so cool. And then at the LA premiere, I got to meet Jenna and Channing, and that was so awesome. I was like, you guys were amazing.
Mm-hmm. And that was her directorial debut, right?
It was Mama's directorial debut.
And she's great career since.
Yeah.
She's done a lot.
She sure has. 27 dresses. I mean, she's just nailing it. I've always been a big fan of Mama because she is a woman that goes to the beat of her own drum and does her own thing and is just fierce, and I love her.
And I always admired her and Adam's friendship. I noticed that their friendship was such a great, it reminded, actually, I think back now and it reminds me of friendship with my best friend Linda. And just seeing them, I remember it was so cool to see their friendship and how they work together.
It reminds me of my best friend and Gino and I, where we have that, you know, it's a relationship that's built upon trust and loyalty. And, you know, when you trust somebody like that enough to like bring them into your career, you know, or have them produce something that you know, have a lot of stake in, that takes another level. And, you know, I'm now starting to develop a project with myself with a friend of mine. And it's a level of trust that you have to have.
Oh, yeah, of course.
What would be a dream project for you?
God, a dream project. I don't know. I'm at this point now in my career where I'm still dancing. I'm not as much as I used to. I kind of had the choreographer type itch in my brain for a little, but then I looked and I was like, I don't know if I want to go through all of that. That's a lot of work. And I don't know if I'm that creative, but I think my strengths is, I think I would be a great assistant, like somebody who has the creative brain. I feel like I would be great at helping that and to well, I can't get the word out right now, but help them with their creation.
I get it. Help them bring their vision.
Yes.
I can't speak. Help bring their vision to life.
And I'm very detail oriented, so I would be very good at doing notes and, you know, correcting the dancers. That's like my little my dance teacher in me, but
I love that.
I'm so that's what I always want. Yes, that's I want to be like an assistant. Either an assistant photographer or even an assistant director or something like that. Once I get older. But.
Right, I can see you with like a scarf.
Yes. I'd be my pad, just like taking notes and but yeah.
I mean, we just had some of the best times together, and I've just always been such a big fan of your dance career because I was also watching you online a little earlier. You were roasting your cast members, and I was dying laughing.
Yeah, so that was at 54 Below. We had I actually did it twice. I think I did it for the Broadway company and the tour company. Somebody wanted to produce a Newsies concert after the show closed, and she was like, "Do you want to perform? You know, sing or dance?" And I was like, "We can't really dance there; it's a little small."
Yeah.
And I'm like, nobody wants to really hear me sing, so. But I was like, I could roast the boys and talk about some of the inside jokes. I was like, some of the fans would love that, so. Yeah. That was what I did.
All I know is that if Anthony and I's plan works out, whenever everything gets up and running, we want to have like a 15-year reunion of all the dancers and everybody. You have to roast everybody. You must.
Oh my God, I would have to totally just look back at. I have to go. Actually, since I'm at my parents' house, I need to find my old computer and find all my pictures because I don't know what happened to all the pictures that I had on my computer. They're not on my new computer now, so I have to go back and find
all that. The phones that they gave us. Do you remember those phones did they give you guys a phone?
We didn't have a phone. I had my own, but this was for smartphones. This was that I had was like my last phone before I had an iPhone.
Yes, they were like these little phones. They were like this big, and it was like a little flip phone. And Zach and I and Amanda and Elijah, we all had them. And we would call each other and text each other, but it wasn't the boop, 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 quick text messages. It was
right?
pressing the button 3 times to get to the M. It was painful. But we had, I mean, can you imagine what's on those phones? The pictures and the memories. Oh my gosh.
I have some on my Facebook. I have some pictures from there because I had Facebook then, because I don't know then, Facebook, you had to have a college ID at that point, and I was in school at that time, so I had a Facebook. So I remember I just posted on my Facebook. I think I have an album, a Hairspray album, but
see, I'm not on Facebook. Everybody's always like, I messaged you on Facebook, or people have come up to me and been like, I've had the nicest conversation with you on Facebook. You're lovely. And I don't have the heart to look at these people and be like, I'm like, I've had to tell a few of them, I'm really sorry. That's not me. And the look on their face, they're like, I feel like I just, crushed the dreams of every child in America. It's awful.
Facebook, I don't really use anymore. Like, I look at Facebook, but I've had it for so long, since I was one of the first generations of Facebook. I think my university at the time got it like 6 months after Facebook started. And that was my freshman year of college. So I've had Facebook for like 16 years or something. Like, it's kind of crazy. I went to Montclair State University in Jersey.
I was going to go to Long Island University, and then I got Hairspray, and I called them up and I was like, excuse me, can I get my deposit back? And they were like, no, we don't give deposits back. Why would, they were like, why would we give it back? And I was like, go to just look at the cover of the Daily News. And they were like, oh, and do you know that they sent it back?
They sent your deposit back?
I got my deposit, $250 back. I was like, I am a new actress. I need to save everything. So I went back to school after Hairspray. Yeah, I went back after. What was that like?
It was kind of crazy. I was a dance major, which I kind of did that because they gave me a good scholarship. So I did dance there, and the school was starting, they wanted me to do musical theater at the school, but the year I started, the first year of the musical theater program, and I wasn't that, I didn't want to start a program that was just starting, and so I started the dance, and by the time when I went back, it was like, I might as well just finish what I started, and I finished it. I kind of regret not doing the musical theater because Montclair State has such a strong musical theater program now. But it didn't really affect my career or anything. I'm just glad I finished. But yeah, it was just going back though after, it was kind of, it was just something I wanted to finish. So that was my main goal. It was like, let me just finish this. It made my parents happy. I look back now and I'm happy I did it. So,
I mean, it's a great thing to have in your back pocket, and it's wonderful to have. I wish I would have, because now, I find myself maybe saying, well, what if I did, and maybe things would have been a little easier, but I don't know. It's still a possibility, but I think, but I think if I were to go back, I don't think I would study theater.
Oh no, I would. If I were you, I wouldn't. Do something that interests you, something else that,
Yeah, I was always very interested in theology and forensics and stuff like that, so who knows? I'd really just ideally like to play a forensic detective on a TV show, but
You'd be great. That'd be amazing. I mean, it took me 6 years to finish. I mean, it wasn't easy, but it took me over a course of 6 years to finish.
Well, anything that's easy is not really worth having.
Yeah.
But,
and I was lucky because it was also, Montclair is close to the city as well. So I wanted to stay in the New York area. So I
And
was
you
happy
can stay in New York now for a little while and then maybe Florida.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not done performing, so I'm not going anywhere anytime soon, but I'm not getting any younger. So, I mean, I don't know how much longer I can perform, but after Newsies, I kind of took a break, and um, I've been auditioning. Now, I mean, nothing's happening,
Yeah.
and I am nervous to see what's going to happen with Broadway after this. I think it's gonna be a while for it to. I mean, Broadway will always be Broadway, but this is hurting Broadway a lot. So I'm praying that it comes back strong, but I feel like it's gonna take a little time.
Well, I think what people are doing right now is things like I'm doing on the show, the quarantine show. It's an improv show, and what we're doing is we're giving all of our paychecks to the SAG-AFTRA fund for crisis relief. And apparently the You Can't Stop the Beat video that has went out has reached I don't even know how many people now, and apparently it's raised close to $11.3 million, and it's the SAG-AFTRA fund has reached, I think, over 9,000 people with it. So I mean, but then you also look at things like Harvard is now coming out saying they've lost millions, but they're also giving to charity.
Yeah.
So it's a very tough, scary, interesting time right now.
Yeah.
Because you want to help, but you also want to make sure that you're prepared for your future.
Yeah. I mean, luckily I've just been very fortunate, and my parents were always, very good with saving my money. They would take my money. I'm not good with money myself, but they would secretly take my money and put it away for me. So I was always grateful for them for that. But I'm very, it is a hard time, and it's, I hope that this is all, I hope this all ends soon, and that people will,
And
get
are
back.
you doing any dance classes online or anything like that?
Yeah, I'm doing stuff for my studio. I was doing stuff back. I was doing once a week. I was doing a class for them. I feel bad for them because I mean New Jersey too, and it's probably your area too. I mean this area has been hit so hard, and you can't. I mean they can open. I mean you can't. And these poor kids missing out. I have some kids that were seniors, and they're missing out on their proms, and their last year of dance is always such a special year. I remember my senior year, especially at the studio, was such a special time, and I feel so sorry that they're not going to have their moment and their final show and all of that, which is sad. So
I mean, we're all trying to just do what we can for them. I know that I've done a bunch of cameos and a bunch of Zoom calls with kids that have graduated or now and literally we all just sit around. Some girl was asking me questions, eating ice cream. And I was like, whatever we can do right now to make people smile. And so what, 15 minutes of our time,
Yeah. Yeah, it's just, I mean, what are you going to do? I mean, this is what we have to do. We have to be home, and we have to be doing this. But it's good to see. I'm happy to see that our area, the New York area, is slowly everything's going down. And
can I ask you?
Yeah.
How in the world did you ever get the nickname Beep Beep on Hairspray?
So
It's been killing me for 14 years.
So it's funny, in every job or in any friend circle, I always had a nickname. Always. I have so many nicknames, I can't even just how many names I had. So I think one thing was when we did the I think it was Lady's Choice. We did the we had the I'll turn this way so you can see. It was the chicken head thing that we did.
Yeah.
And I think Zach Woodley said when I was doing it, I looked like the Roadrunner. So it was beep 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 beep. So I think that's how it started. but then some people kind of got a little dirty with it, which I was like,
Oh,
some people thought it was like baby prostitute, which is not me at all. But yeah.
I just remember being on set and hearing beep, beep, beep. I'm like,
It's funny because, who did I see? Haley Pachoon, whenever I run into her, it's been a while, but she always would call me Beep. Spencer Liff, he would call me Beep.
my cheeks and smiling
But
so hard. We all would call you. I mean, we all had a bunch of fun nicknames. I remember Latifah does not call me Nikki. She calls me Blonsky. Yeah, a lot of people we just really went by last names a lot of times with us.
yeah. I mean, my name is a nickname. I mean, JP is my initials, so, and that's what I always went by. JP is what I always went by. But I always had nicknames. In every friend circle I have, any job that I did, I always had a nickname. My friends now, my one friend group, they call me Grandma because they say I'm very not old school, but I'm like a 80-year-old grandma.
You're set in your ways.
Exactly. That's what it is.
I love it. Well, Beep, I adore the heck out of you, my friend.
I love you. We have to get together once this whole mess is over. Because I feel like I haven't seen you. I think the last time I saw you was when I was doing Newsies. It was I think it was that.
Over 10 years. Like,
yeah.
Gosh. And you look
so do you, love.
Well, thank you, Angel.
We have to have some kind of reunion. We have to do something.
It has to happen. There's too many of us here in the city, we're too close to not just celebrate this epic part of our lives.
People would come in. I feel like people would come in, especially the LA and the Toronto.
Well, that's like Anthony had no idea that for my birthday party, that epic party that they threw me, I had no idea when they asked me, what do you want for your birthday? And they had just sent all the dancers home. I told them, I said, I want you to fly all the dancers back. And they did.
Yeah.
I had to have you guys there.
That was your 18th birthday, right?
Yeah. Sure
Crazy.
was.
I think I turned 21 over the shoot. Or it was my birthday was the end of August. I think my birthday was the table read, the day of the table read.
Oh, Lord, probably.
And I remember like, oh my God, what, like a birthday for me. Just like, and that's when we met. That's when we met all of the, Christopher Walken. That was when everyone was there in the room at the same time. And that was probably the only time everyone was in the room. I can imagine that was probably the only time that the dancers and all the principal actors were there at the same time.
Yes, one of the very, very, very few times. I think it might have been that, and You Can't Stop the Beat, but even then there were players missing.
And You Can't Stop the Beat, if my memory is correct, didn't that take like 2 weeks to film?
Yeah, it was
Wasn't that epic? That was like an epic.
Believe me when I tell them that Zach and I stood there for 9 days like this.
Yeah, like
it's forever.
That was it. I found this is on the back of
Yes. Oh my God! Look at us. We're in step.
Because after the council kids, we were the first ones there over the summer for rehearsal. They brought us out first, I remember. And then when we started filming, we weren't really in a lot of the outdoor stuff because all of our stuff was really in the studio. I think when filming started, we did I think 2 days of just walking into the school or something, or running onto a school bus.
Yeah.
And then they set up for a month and a half while you guys filmed all the outdoor stuff.
Yeah.
And then right when we got back, it was right into You Can't Stop the Beat. We started filming, and it was it was crazy.
I know, as Queen Latifah used to call it, you can't stop to breathe.
I know. Oh God.
We just had the best times.
Yeah. Amazing.
Beep. I love ya.
I love you too. It was so good seeing you.
So good seeing you, and I can't wait to dance with you again when all of this is over.
I know. You have to send me your information because I don't know if I have it still.
I
So you
will.
got to send me info because I would love to see you.
I'll slide
And
DMs.
yes, please. And send your love to your family, your mom,
I will.
your
Karen was
dad.
asking for you. She was like, "Who you talking to today?" I said, "JP Ferreri." She said, "Oh, give him my love. I love that young man." I said, "Yes, I know.
Yes. Give her a big hug for me.
Oh, I will. It'll be the
So.
one she gets today." No, I'm kidding.
Oh.
I'm kidding.
Okay.
No. I will definitely. And please give your parents a big hug for me. And they raised a fine son.
Oh, well, thank you. Okay. Love you.
Love
Bye.
you,
Hug.
friends.
Yes. Love you. Stay safe.
You too.
Bye.
Oh my God, I adore him. You guys, the adventures that JP and I had on Hairspray with our friends Spencer and Philip and Sarah Jane and Becca and Tiffany and Brooke and Anthony and Chris, and oh my God, the list goes on, you guys. The experiences, the laughs that we had, the memories that we have, everything from my 18th birthday to getting stuck in the rocket and having them all just standing there look at me and being like, I couldn't get down, stuck up there. It's on the blooper reel. We had the best time, you guys. We laughed. Sometimes there were some tears because there was a lot of hard work. But the tears came from the last day because we didn't want to leave each other. We had the best time. JP, I adore you. What a fun chat. And who knew that it was his sister that got him into Hairspray? Oh, sisters are magical. Sisters are magical. So thank you, Miss Ferreri, because I enjoyed working with your brother immensely. He's a quite talented soul, and I really, really enjoyed it. And I meant what I said. His parents raised a fine young man. Coming up, we have a stellar lineup coming up. So thrilled. Colin Mockery is going to be here. Lainey Kazan is going to be here as well. I'm having a blast doing Nikki Nights, you guys. Every single day, it's so fun for me to go in and see who I'm chatting with that day and doing my research and just really enjoying watching the projects of my guests and getting into what they're into for a little bit while I research. I'm having a blast. So thank you so much. Again, huge thanks to the team. Girls are working very hard. To my friend Amy, who created, Amy Holler is a brilliant actress, and I just want to say that she created the most gorgeous graphic. So thank you so much for that. Everybody who's had a help in making this thing, I'm really enjoying it. Thanks, guys, so much. And also, just to let you know, you can follow me on Instagram. You can follow me on the TikTok. You can also follow me on Cameo. If you want your cameos, I do them every single night. So feel free to come on over to @Cameo and just punch in Nikki Blonsky and you'll see me. And maybe we'll do a little, you can stop an avalanche, so it races down the hill. Maybe a little, because now I'm in a singing mood because I was with my Hairspray love. Yes, JP, I adore you. Japes. I adore you. So thank you so much. Beep, beep. And yes, we all have ridiculous nicknames from Hairspray. Some of us better ones than others. But Beep Beep is legendary. I adore you. Thank you so much, guys. Have a great night. Enjoy the rest of your Memorial Day weekend. Be safe. Thanks for hanging in there with us. We'll be hanging out with you. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.